Welcome to Season 2 of the Empower to Heal podcast. I'm your host, Dina Tipsherini, and I'm so excited to take you on a journey through the ups and downs of motherhood. Together, we are going to learn, prepare for, and unearth all things motherhood, because I believe that exposure and awareness can lead to empowerment. So buckle up for an unfiltered, raw, and insightful journey. Are you on the brink of parenthood, eagerly anticipating the arrival of your little one? Take a proactive step towards preparing for the whirlwind journey ahead by joining our waitlist for the Empowered First Year Postpartum Prep course. Designed with your needs in mind, this online 4-week program offers a comprehensive blend of education, skill building, and community support to guide you through the demanding postpartum season. Don't navigate this transformative time alone. Click the link in the show notes below to join our next cohort and embark on your journey to parenthood with confidence. Welcome to the Empower to Heal podcast, Season 2, Episode 6. We are continuing our journey on discussing matrescence, the developmental stage that we step into in motherhood. Matrescence for mom, patrescence for partners. If you do not know what I'm talking about, hit pause on this episode and go back and start on episode 2 of season 2 to have your mind blown around this developmental stage that we should have been taught about in grade school. So I'm sitting here, I have my tea in hand, and I'm so excited to have a discussion with you around relationships in motherhood, early motherhood to be exact. Oftentimes when we have our baby, we ask and we wonder, is it always going to feel this way? Am I always going to feel like I'm having a hard time connecting to other people around me? Am I always going to feel lonely? Is it always just going to be about my baby and not about me or my besties or my partner? Is it always going to be this way? And I'm here to happily inform you the answer to that question is no. No, it will not always be this way. This is temporary. This season of life often lasts for a few years, but it's temporary. And the reason why we are so zoomed in and focused on our little one is because of the neurological changes that our brain has gone through in order to keep them alive. While our infant, our child, is entirely dependent upon their sole caregiver, us, for their existence in order to live and thrive, our brain prioritizes them. We prune gray matter. Go listen to the previous episodes to understand what that means. But we prune this gray matter so that we can keep our little ones alive. And the impact of that is felt socially for us. That impact is felt in our sense of identity. The impact is felt in our executive functioning. And executive functioning meaning being able to execute tasks throughout your day that maybe were easy before. And while our baby is so dependent upon us, that relationship is going to be guiding our ability to kind of have bandwidth for things around us. And when our child becomes a little bit more independent, starting around the age 2 typically, now this isn't for every child, but once they do start becoming a little bit more independent, our brains begin growing and developing that gray matter. We have to regrow it. And it allows us to have more interactions that can feel socially, relationally rewarding. So what does this look like? This means that when you're craving to have a night with your besties or a night just focused on your partner, maybe you set up a date night, right? And you're still in the thick of it and you're like, we just really need a date night. But the only thing you feel like you can focus on or talk about is your little one, right? Wondering about them, checking in with whoever's watching them, seeing how it's going. This is because our brains are really wrapped into this, and it's not your fault. This is literally how we're developed to be. But as your child becomes a little bit more independent, you begin to have freedom in your brain to regrow some of those connections. And so with intentionality, you can help strengthen those relationships. But I would tell you to do it in doses. Okay, just because our child's becoming a little bit more independent doesn't mean we all of a sudden have all this bandwidth to go do all the things and hang out with all the people and care about all the problems. No, we are developing little bits of bandwidth for that. And this neuroplasticity is what it's called. This ability for your brain to change and grow is so powerful. And I would suggest taking advantage of the stage of development when you start to feel like you're ready to dip your toe back in the water of caring about things outside of just keeping your baby alive and the functioning of your home and your day-to-day routines and maybe work. I would suggest being very intentional around how you put yourself out there so that you're always pouring from a full cup. So what I mean by that is you may be starved for interactions with friends that you haven't been able to hang out for a bit. And you go to hang out with that friend, and that friend misses you too. And you guys begin to catch up, and all of a sudden you're experiencing the influx of their life over the past couple of years that you've missed. And it feels like a lot. And a lot of emotions can come on while you're doing that. So instead of opening yourself up in that way to just be poured onto, I invite you to start introducing these concepts of like, I think I'm ready to hear how someone else's life is going. I think I have the bandwidth to explore some of this right now. Maybe make a phone call, right? Make a phone call, a quick one where you're driving from point A to point B and you have to hang up at point B and say, hey, I was thinking about you. Something reminded me of you, whatever it was, reminded me of you. And I'm just curious, how are you? I know I don't have long to talk and it's been a long time since we got to talk and connect, but I miss you. How are you doing? How is life? Right? And then let it be that short interaction that you get to say, bye, I miss you. Thanks for sharing. I look forward to talking again soon. Right? And recognize you may still be in a season of receiving, not giving, but you may be able to open up little pathways to let that in again in a way that's not like tearing you open and opening you up to have to hold something for somebody else all the time. I also want to share relationally with your partner. We talked about this a little bit in the previous episode 5, but relationally with your partner, prioritize those date nights if you have the pleasure, the honor, the privilege to do that. Schedule them. Have time to go out and talk. Learn how to ask each other open-ended questions. Get one of those like date night games where you can ask each other game questions that you don't have to like come up with them and carry all of the emotional burden and weight of like, how do we step back into this together, but rely on a tool. Get to know each other again, because the relationship you had before you had a baby is not the relationship you have now, and it's not the relationship you're going to have in the future. Relationships grow and evolve, just like you are not the same person you were before you had a baby. When you birthed your baby, you rebirthed yourself, right? As you're mothering your baby, you're remothering yourself. You're stepping into the space of like, you are a new you, and the person that you're going to be next week is a new you as well. And so honor growing together with your partner and asking the questions that are just, that just allow you to create space with one another. I know for us as a couple, me and my husband, it was hard to dream. Like, I used to have like dreams of what my life was going to look like and things I wanted to do. And then all of a sudden we had our son, and I didn't know what those dreams looked like. All of my dreams started becoming about escaping, right? Like, how do I get out of this hard, difficult, unsettling experience I'm experiencing and go back to ease, or escape to some romanticized vision of life? But now that you have your child, and as you're starting to think about ways to reconnect with your partner when you're ready and you have the bandwidth, explore, what is your dream? When you dream about life, what are the things that you see in it? What are the important things together? The important things for you that we can talk about together. What are your passions? What's been exciting to you lately? What feels like it's lighting you up, right? And they can be little things, little things. I feel like I didn't start seeing outside of myself and my work until my son was almost 7 years old. And I know that sounds like a long time. It is. It felt like a long time. But it's not uncommon that many people start feeling like they can find themselves again around the age of 7, when their baby's 7. Their youngest is 7. Some people feel it earlier, like around 2 or 3, 5. For me, it was 7. And things that interested me were like dreaming of going on trips again and then going on the trip. And little things like making sourdough bread or having my own cacao ceremonies in the morning or making candles or chapstick, herbal remedies and teas, just little things that I could do that didn't take a lot of time, that I could play with and explore. They didn't rely on other people. They're just things that I could simply do. And so as you're thinking about and dreaming about these things with your partner, nothing's off limits, right? Things that are still on my list are like, I want to make soap. I want to knit, right? I want to do things that allow me to slow down and connect with myself and connect with my creativity and allow me to be present in the moment, right? When I'm thinking about my passions and things outside of work and my child, they're not grandiose. They're simple pleasures. And talking to my husband about like, what are you thinking? Has your brain been able to think outside of just parenthood and surviving all that's been coming at us? What do you see in your life? What do you feel? These are great conversation starters. Open-ended questions, being curious, and then having grace, right? The first time my husband and I had these conversations, they weren't easy. It wasn't like sitting in a conversation, like dreaming about all of these things. At first, it was like, oh, shoot, I don't know. Like, I don't know what my dream is. Like, I'm just trying to get through the day, right? Like, gosh, what am I passionate about? Like, what do you mean? What am I passionate about? And when you feel that, you ask yourself, like, am I ready? Do I have the bandwidth to start seeing outside of my immediate needs of my family and day-to-day life? And do I have space to do that in small increments? Just know it's okay if it takes a period of time. It's okay if you feel like you have been missing and grieving the past version of yourself. It's okay if you strongly desire a different life sometimes. That's okay. That's life. Our brain will think the thoughts. We don't have to judge them. But then bring it back, right? Where am I in this parenting journey? What is developmentally appropriate with where I'm at? Neurologically with my brain and my baby's needs. Is it okay that I don't have space for this? And just remembering that can give you grace. It can give you grace to not judge yourself or not put pressure on yourself. And when you start recognizing these inklings and this desire to connect with people outside of just the intimate circle and the life that you're living every day, when you have that desire, do it in small doses, small, calculated, intentional doses that allow you to start filling your cup and getting that connection that you're seeking, but not draining yourself out. I hope this conversation was helpful. I'm eager to continue discussions with you in our next episode on the podcast. See you then. Motherhood is a beautiful journey, but it can also be overwhelming. Do you often find yourself feeling isolated, struggling to find balance, and yearning for a sense of identity beyond mom? Trust me, you're not alone. Join the Empowered Mamas Club, where you'll discover a supportive community of like-minded mothers. Gain valuable skills to navigate those highs and lows of motherhood, reclaim your sense of self, and become the engaged and present mom that you desire so that you can create cherished moments with your little ones. It's time to prioritize your well-being and rediscover the joy in motherhood. Click the link in the show notes and join us in the Empowered Mamas Club today. It has been an honor to share this space with you today on the Empower to Heal podcast, where we illuminate the strength you have within yourself to heal. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our upcoming episodes, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform.